forever, seriously. Oh, hi, welcome to Loveland's Public Library's School Out Science, especially since school's going to be out for such a long time. I'm going to try and show you a few experiments that you can do at home. Hopefully you have all these different materials. The first one is called the 14-to-1 experiment. I have a string that's about 2 feet long, and I've tied one washer on the end and 14 of the same washers on the other end. And when you do that, and it's a 14-to-1 weight difference, or ratio, and you pull it across your finger like that and then let go, most people, what do you think is going to happen? You think it's going to drop? All right, I'll let go and you can see. Instead of dropping all the way with the heavy side, it wraps around because it becomes like a pendulum. You can try this at home, but just make sure the things aren't breakable. All right, and next, we have an experiment that I have done, probably thousands of times. With this experiment, you need a clear plate or a white plate, it doesn't really matter. You're going to pour some milk so that it covers the bottom. And you're going to try not to shake the table. The milk works best if it's not skim milk. It needs to have some fat in it. And then I have some dish soap. And I have a toothpick. And I have food coloring. So, I just shook the table. I'm going to put, my hands are shaking though. I'm going to put a few drops of red, a few drops of green, and I don't want them to touch each other. A few drops of yellow, and now some blue. They're practicing social distancing. And nothing much is happening as long as you don't move the table. But watch what happens when I drop one drop of dish soap in the middle, hopefully. The colors start to swirl. It kind of reminds me of fireworks. Let's do one over here. You don't really want to touch it right onto the milk, because that'll make the reaction happen too fast. But the milk has fat inside, as long as it's not skim milk, and the soap is breaking up the fat, so it makes it move all around. Look at that. Is that fun? This can keep your kids busy for a long, long time. It will keep happening, and you can add extra drops of soap to the milk. All right, next I have... I've not had real good luck with this, so I have a dry erase marker here, and I'm going to draw a person, a stick figure actually. You want to make sure whatever you draw is connected. The video I saw, he was holding a balloon, so I think I'll do that. You're going to let it dry for just a minute. I tested this with different dry erase markers, and for some reason, some colors work better than others. Can't explain it, but maybe you guys can figure it out. All right, then, very carefully.
What is that substance?
This is water, sorry. Thank you. Very carefully, I'm gonna drop some water on top. You don't really need a pipette, you could just pour it, but it's easier if you have an eyedropper or a pipette. So I'm gonna make sure that guy, there he goes. I'm going to make sure he's covered. Whoop, he lost his balloon, oh no. And you can see that, oh poor guy. He's becomes detached from the plate. You can also do it on, what is this called? A clear sheet, like a...
Transfer sheet?
Transparency sheet, thank you. So you can do it here too. Let's see if it works any better. He is not having a balloon. And you can definitely do it without a pipette. You just pour it on very carefully. Oops, I didn't let him dry very long, did I? All right, let's see what happens. The plate kind of holds the water in better, but get creative. There he goes. Now you can make him dance. Get creative with what you have at home. It's just got to be something smooth and flat so that it doesn't stick to it and it can come loose. Oh, there he goes. Bye-bye. The first time I did it, his head came off, so your kids could really have fun with that. All right, next experiment. You might have already seen this. Steve Spangler really made this famous. I have a coffee can here, a coffee can and a lid that I've cut the middle out of so it'll hold the fabric on there. And this kind of looks like tie-dye. So if you are really bored and you have pillowcases or socks or white t-shirts that you would like to decorate like that, it's really easy as long as you have permanent markers. And this is the part you might not have at home, 91% isopropyl alcohol. This is a little bit stronger than the 70% or the 50%, but drugstores do have it. Hopefully they have it. So you just need a piece of very light fabric. It could be pale yellow or blue, but it just shows up best on white. And you're gonna stretch it over the top of the coffee can, and this helps hold it tight, but it also collects the alcohol in the bottom of it because you don't wanna breathe this stuff in. And then, once you have it nice and tight, you're gonna make a design on the top of this. So maybe a circle in the middle. You don't wanna draw pictures. You wanna do like symbols. And then maybe a few lines like this. And then whatever colors you want to use. Black is really interesting because a lot of colors come from black. There are a lot of colors mixed together, so I'm definitely going to do that. And let's see, it doesn't have to be perfect because that's what this was before I poured the alcohol on top. Let's do a little bit of black. And this is something that your kids can get really creative with. We made butterfly wings once when I taught preschool, and then they pretended that they metamorphosized into a butterfly. So the isopropyl alcohol, you don't want to breathe it in. It's very strong smelling. So I'm going to put it in here, and I'm definitely going to use a pipette for that. You could drip it from the top of this, but you just have to be really careful, and I would suggest parents do that, not kids. But they love to watch this. So very slowly start with the middle. And then you drip it till it reaches the outer symbols. And the isopropyl alcohol is breaking down the permanent marker. You can use water on regular markers, water-based markers, and you can see the colors spread, and you can tell what colors made up the color, the original color. But for permanent markers, you have to have isopropyl alcohol. That's the only thing that breaks it down. And you could experiment. You could try with different strengths of alcohol and see what it does, but you see the way that looks. So it's kind of like tie-dye. You could get really creative with your symbols. That could keep kids busy for a long time. Just make sure you're in a well-ventilated room and an adult is in charge of the isopropyl alcohol. You can just pour a tiny bit in, and it won't be dangerous. All right. Here is how you can easily at home, if you have shaving cream, this is from the dollar store, it doesn't have to be good stuff, you can make marbled paper. So, I'm going to put some shaving cream in this pan. Gosh, I wish I had some kids here to play with this stuff, huh? Oopsies. All right.
We'll get more librarians. We're just big kids at heart.
That's right. I should have invited. Well, Beth was going to be my sidekick, so it would have been a comedy show rather than a science show. She couldn't make it today. So, all right, so shaving cream is in there. Usually I would do a lot more if you were making greeting cards or wrapping paper or just trying to make pretty paper. You can put a few drops of food coloring again. You could also use tempera paint, I'm sure, anything with the colors that you want. And you can do any color combinations you want. You can even mix the colors before you put them on here, but because of time, I'll just do it like this. And different kinds of paper work. It can be porous, or the paper I have is kind of shiny, so I think it would be really good to make a greeting card for maybe somebody that's stuck inside, maybe your neighbor. And you can, without making contact, you could just put it in their mailbox. And then I'm going to take this and kind of swirl it.
And is that just something firm to stir it with?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is, I almost forgot a squeegee to wipe off the paper, so I just grabbed this ruler that's kind of flexible. Really anything, you could use a toothpick or anything to kind of swirl it and make the colors interesting. Once Once you do that, this paper's nice and thick. I'm gonna put that on top, push down. And then, whoa, it's really sticky. And then pull the paper off, put it on a, yeah, you wanna make sure you prepare your surface. Put it on a paper towel or some other kind of paper that isn't, yuck. And look at that. Once it dries, you get all that stuff off of there. Once it dries, you have a really colorful paper. You could fold it and make a card. You could wrap a gift in it. I don't know what else. You could figure it out. You could even make a picture frame probably if you cut out the middle and put a photo in the middle of it. All right. I gotta wipe that off. I didn't think about that. That's what my apron's for.
So, Miss Cindy, we have a
Yes.
couple questions from our
Yes.
Facebook viewers.
Oh, my goodness.
How often do we suppose we'll be doing this?
Oh, how about once? No, I'm kidding. I will come up with another plan. Because this was kind of last minute and we wanted something for people to do, maybe we'll put out there the supplies that you should have and then make it a little more coordinated. But I would love to do it again. I was just kidding. Now that my hands aren't shaking anymore. All right, so I have two more experiments. Yes, 2 more experiments, and then Eric is going to show you some websites you can go to get good ideas too. All right, so this over here is a hair blow dryer and some items, and this represents the Bernoulli effect. That's how airplanes stay in the sky. The way the air goes around the wings and makes it airborne because of the force. So I am not a scientist, but that's the best I can do to demonstrate, to explain that. Right now, I'm going to turn this on cold, hopefully, and I'm going to hold up some objects, and you're going to guess whether they will stay in the air or not. All right, let's see at the ping pong ball. What do you think? Yes or no? All right, it's suspended. Pretty good. And if I tip, look at that. Whoa, a little too much. How about this ball? You think this ball's gonna work? A little wiffle golf ball? Not as good as the ping pong ball, huh? But it does, it's suspended. Let's see what it does. Pretty good. All right, how about a ball with holes in it? Oh, that does not work as well. Sorry. How about a tennis ball? Is that gonna work? It's nice and round. Oh, no. How about an Easter egg? A plastic Easter egg? Huh? You're pretty smart at it because I didn't think it was gonna work. Wow, look at that. That's so awesome, huh? Look at that. Now you can take all of this one step further with kids, and make sure you listen to what they're asking you when you do these things. You can take it one step further by attaching a paper towel or wrapping paper tube on there and extending. Let's see what happens. I haven't done this yet. Yes. So it's going all the way up and doing it. Right? Oh, that didn't work so well. Let's see. That didn't work so well. So it actually works better like this. Try different things at home. There we go. All right, that's an easy one to do at home, and just supervise your kids. All right, I have 2 more experiments. These 2 experiments have to do with, I better move some things, have to do with baking soda, which is a base, and vinegar. I had to bring it from home. I didn't want to bring the huge thing, so I made sure I labeled it because I wouldn't want somebody to ever drink that. It looks like water, but it's white vinegar. And what happens when a base mixes with an acid? It comes together, makes a solution. It makes carbon dioxide, which expands because it's a gas. So what do you think will happen? This is an empty bottle, just has air in it. I'm going to pour some vinegar in it. The amount, when I cook, I don't measure, and when I do science, I don't measure either, so that's why I have some failures. So You experiment and write down what works best so that when you do it again, you know it'll work. So I have vinegar in here. I better put a little bit more in. It's all by sense of feel. Then I have a balloon, whoop, that I think I have way too much baking soda in. I can feel it. So I used a funnel to put the baking soda in here. That way, I can put this on top. How strong is our ceiling? The baking soda's in here. It's not mixing yet. You don't see anything yet, but pretty soon when you look in here, tell me what you see, because I'm going to hold this up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Watch out, Eric. Ooh.
Oh, the balloon's filling. There we go.
Yes, come on, balloon. I'm not sure how, I think this is, let's see if this, oh boy, that's probably pretty old. Oh no, it's still good, 21. All right, so sometimes you can, this is a pretty big balloon. With a smaller balloon, it might stay inflated for quite a while with that. So experiment with different amounts. That would be a great thing for kids to do. Write down how much they put in, try a little bit more of each, a little bit less of each, and see how long the balloon stays inflated. Get them all ready for science fairs at school. All right, my very last one. This is one of my favorites. I am going to put, so we know what happens when baking soda and vinegar, an acid and a base mix. I'm going to do the same thing in here, but instead of putting a balloon on top, I'm going to do it really quickly, and hopefully I'm going to stick this cork in, fits nice and tight, and then we'll see what happens. This will either be the best finale ever or the biggest one, or I'm not sure which. All right, so, guess I'll just pour it in like this. I'm going to put the vinegar in first. This one is, it's very important that if you don't think it's working, don't put your face over the top of it, okay? Stay far away from it until you've left it alone for quite a while, because you never know if that pressure's still building up, even if you don't see bubbles. So what I've done is the baking soda, I've put it in, I've made a mess is what I've really done.
Science is messy.
It is. I put it in a Kleenex so that the reaction won't take place quite as fast, and it gives me a little chance, hopefully, to put the cork on, okay? Ready, set, go. Yeah, stand back, please. Sometimes I have the kids count down, but it's very anticlimactic when nothing happens. So I still see bubbles. I would never put my head over the top of that just in case. Come on. And just when you think nothing's happening, try. I'm not going to put my face above it, but I might shake it a little bit. Come on. Oh,
there we go.
That was a good one. And that's how I've ruined some ceilings at the Loveland Public Library. Thank you for watching. I'll start working on the next one, okay? Now I'm not so nervous. Bye.
Yeah, and so to answer the question that, from Renee, we will be posting these on the library website, but they will still be available on Facebook. You can view Facebook Live videos after the fact.
Awesome.
So thanks so much for viewing, everybody, and a round of a virtual applause for Miss Cindy.
And Eric, yay.
All right, see you next time, everyone.
Bye. Oh, that was kind of fun. Is it still doing anything?